Today I've climbed to the top of a Scottish mountain to test one of the recipes from my new recipe book. I wanted to prove they were so simple to make that I could make at the top of a mountain in sub-zero conditions with no equipment. So if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some beautiful scenery. I'll show you this beautiful waterfall that I see in the distance and the series of waterfalls leading up to it. And I'll show you how simple this recipe really is. We'll see the end result of my cooking outdoors. So as you see here, we've got the fire burning. All I need to do now is find something to cook on. I do barbecue a lot outdoors and cook outdoors, but this is the first cooking on a stone, finding something in the wild just to cook on and lighting a fire and dumping some food on top of it. If I can manage to cook this recipe here in the Scottish mountains, just think how easy it'd be in your kitchen. To celebrate the release of my new recipe book, Junk Meals Made Healthy and 1 Minute Meals, I thought the best thing to do would come up the Scottish mountains and test these recipes to see how easy they really are to make when you're in sub-zero conditions, you have no equipment, and I think that would be the ultimate test. As you can see here, I have nothing with me. I have a stone that I found in the river, and I'm going to cook my healthy kebab recipe. It's slightly different because I couldn't get the whole grain wraps that I was wanting. However, it's pretty much similar, and there's a couple other things that if I was at home I'd probably do slightly different. Just got this stone heating up here. It's took a long time for this stone to heat up. As you can see in the videos, it's pretty cold here. Still a lot of snow lying around, typical. And the coffee is cold. Oh, nobody likes cold coffee. Normally I bring my little flask with me, but today I didn't bother. So I've never done this before. I've cooked in the wild. I go camping all the time, things, but I've never found a stone in the wild to cook on. So what I have here, I brought my little knife with me, and I have an onion, so I'm going to try cooking this first. I do have a bag here for all my rubbish, but things like natural, things like onions and things I'm not too concerned about. I'd rather not take my glove off, but I think it'll be a lot easier. So this will be a test here to see if this stone is actually warm enough to cook off of. I don't think it is. Let's see if this is a good idea or not. Gloves back on. I was really struggling here to find a thin stone. All the stones here are really thick, big stones. Just a little bit too thick, that stone. I need something smaller. So unfortunately that didn't quite work as planned. However, we'll carry on regardless. So I have a stone here. That's warming up. Put some of the onions on it to see if they take heat. If not, we'll see if this stone heats up. The other one it's warm, but it's far too big, so all the stones here are really thick. This looks more promising. It's starting to smoke already. There you go, butter's starting to melt. That's a good sign. I did buy some logs on the way up here, so there's no trees here. So I bought some logs, and all they have done is smoked away and caused problems. And they're putting black ash all over my stones. So when you watch these nice cooking videos, they never show you any of this stuff. Anyway, to be expected. So that's good. Just going to cut these onions up and make them a bit smaller. Butter's starting to melt a bit now, so we might start getting some cooking done soon. Just to make things easier, I did actually mix some herbs and some salt and mixed pepper and things in a little tub before I come up here. It's actually quite a lot of stuff to carry up a mountain. I had logs, I had coal, kilo steak. I have my camera here, I have my drone. The butter's starting to melt there, but really I like steak on high heat, so not great. Unfortunately the sun's starting to go down, it's starting to get a wee bit dark here, so I'm going to have to put the steak on here before it's fully heated up, which is not great. Normally I would like to have the pan or wherever I'm cooking as hot as possible to seal the steak, but in this case it's not going to be possible. So there we go, kilo steak. Let's see if it cooks. Oh, it might cook actually, it's making a sizzle. Yeah. Well, that's good news. I was a little bit concerned that it wouldn't be hot enough, but we have hope. You can see the steak there, it is starting to sizzle away, so I'm just going to turn it over and just see what it looks like. Oh. Well, at least it's cooking. What we're going to do with this, once it's cooked, we're going to let it rest for a bit in the smoke, and then we are going to slice it up and put it into kebabs. The reason we're doing that is because it's so much easier to eat a kebab out here than what it is to cook potatoes or rice or various other things. So I'm going to do here, because I don't have a lot of space, because I had to use a smaller stone. I'm just going to get some of these onions off just now. There's not a lot of space here and they're in the way. You can see here I was meant to buy whole grain pita breads, and I stopped at the local country shop and that's all they had. They are high in fibre, but they wouldn't be my preferred choice. You can still eat this, it's not the end of the world. especially if you're up a mountain somewhere. But if you're at home, I wouldn't probably pick them. I would try and get the whole grain option, and you know, it's a good way to be able to make steak kebabs nice and healthy, or as healthy as can be. So you see there, it's starting to cook through now. Absolutely. I'm just taking some of them onions off now before they overcook. It's funny because I took that big stone off because it was too hot, and it just shows you how much heat stays in these stones because I lean on it now and it's roasting. Good hand warmer, keep the gloves warm. Oh, them tomatoes are absolutely delicious. Watch some of these outdoor cooking videos. They look pristine, they've got everything nice and set up and everything looks nice and clean and things, whereas if you look at here, you've got black ash that's been blown about from the wood that seems to be too wet to want to go on fire. The colour of my hands, I've washed them in the snow and in the river a couple of times. Everything here is dirty, even the onions, dirty, still taste delicious. Makes you wonder how much effort that goes into preparing these videos that are in the wild, or makes you wonder how far in the wild they actually are. Be interesting, I might try this again with proper equipment and actually do it properly and see the difference. So you can see now, oh, that's starting to cook now, and it Now that is nice. You won't see that in the camera there, but I keep getting snow there to give my hands a bit of a wash. You can really see there that's starting to get cooked, and I'm starving and impatient, so took a little bit of Tabasco sauce there. I never actually used Tabasco sauce, but it was small and I thought I could fit that in my bag, and it's light. So obviously coming up here you need to try and make sure you can actually carry everything. Yeah, and I'm starving, so I'm going to start eating this. A little bit of spicy sauce there, a little bit of Tabasco sauce and onions, and I'm just going to slice a few bits off of here because I'm starving. I want to eat now. There we go, little kebab there. Onions, steak, and which should be whole grain pita. So let's give it a try. Well, that's pretty tasty. Well, that should be evidence enough for you. If I can cook this here, you can cook this anywhere. And it's absolutely delicious. So, what I'm going to do, because I am in a hurry now, is I'm just going to cook strips of this off. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. So I was a little bit concerned I wouldn't be able to cook this because it wasn't warming up, but actually turned out okay. So, yeah, healthy kebabs. Healthy kebabs. And these tomatoes as well. Really, I was really looking forward to a nice warm coffee, but that's freezing cold, so tomato juice it is. My brother gave me that flask that keeps coffee cold. Worst flask I've ever seen in my life. I hope he's watching this. As you can see there, this was just a bit of fun. Managed to cook the recipe nice and easy. The recipe in the actual book that I made is slightly different. It's a little bit more tasty. But obviously coming up the mountains you are limited what you can carry, and I don't want to be leaving stuff lying about here. So I make sure everything once I'm finished here is all bagged up and it's put in my bag, taken home. So a lot of weight to carry up the mountains, but something like this, so you've got a high protein meal. So yeah, it's a kilogram steak. If you were in your house, for example, it is slightly different from the recipe book. As I said, you know, you cook that up, you grill it on a nice skillet, a little bit of butter, make sure it's seasoned a few hours before, and then you slice that up into strips, and you put that on whole grain pita breads. The reason whole grain, they're much higher in fibre, and they are better for you than what the white ones are. Slice up some raw cabbage or whatever you like, even some onions, raw onions, cook the onions, some tomatoes, a little bit of cucumber, you know, mix it up, a little bit of mint, a little bit of olive oil in there. And actually you've made yourself a really healthy meal. You've made yourself a meal that is going to help you stay on track. It is far nicer than anything you're going to get out of a kebab shop. And you've eaten something that is packed full of protein, that is going to fuel your metabolism. It is going to help you build muscle mass, and something that can be ready in like 10-15 minutes, easy. All you're cooking is a steak, everything else, like so the cabbage or whatever else, the salad and that you want to put in it isn't cooked anyway. Pita bread shouldn't need to be cooked, maybe warmed up for 30 seconds or something. Simple, efficient meal, high in protein, enjoyable. And the reason I'm showing you a lot of these fast food recipes, likes of kebabs, that if I go to order takeaway, I probably have to wait about 45 minutes after I've ordered it. So that's not really fast food. I can make almost anything that I eat in 15, 20 minutes, half an hour max. And then I need to think about what I want. I need to ask my family, everyone puts their order in. So you're talking an hour minimum for me to get fast food. So people eat fast food because it is what they think it's nice. It's packed full of sugars, it's packed full of salt, saturated fats, and it probably does taste nice at the time. You probably feel terrible after it. But the main reason for fast food should be for efficiency. And the reason I made this recipe book was to show you that these healthy options were more efficient, they're cheaper, higher quality, help you achieve your goals. And they should, in theory, make fast foods absolutely pointless. There'd be no reason to buy fast foods unless you were so lazy you just couldn't be bothered doing anything. So I hope this is useful for you. And I will attach a link below where you can get my Metabolic Acceleration Blueprint. All of the recipe books and everything that I've discussed in here are free bonus guides you get with them. When I say free bonus guides, though, they are massive books in themselves. And they are designed to make everything in your life easier, whether it's picking supplements, meal prepping, making 1-minute meals that you can eat very quickly, these junk food made healthy recipes. And it is all about making things easy and as simple as possible, because if it's easy and simple as possible, you are more likely to stick to it. I could show you loads of fancy recipes, other things that I used to make, but nobody would stick to these recipes. They are healthy, they are delicious, but they take hours to make. They cost a fortune for ingredients, and to be honest with you, I make them once or twice a year. This is the type of food, I don't come up the mountain and cook it every day, but this is the type of food that I would eat every day. Steak, chicken, and I don't make it boring, just chicken and rice all the time. I do eat that, but I quite often, I'll make kebabs, I make skewers, I make various different things to make eating this food fun. So when I do go to a restaurant or I do go to a fast food place, I'm always disappointed. So I'm going to finish this steak and I better get moving because it is starting to get pretty dark here. I can see the moon now. But yeah, this has been fun. Nice experience. And I would like to try this with better circumstances. It's probably closer to home and taking all the right equipment. I'll probably get some learnings from this now. If you are doing this as well, it takes a long time for the stone to heat up. So give it an hour or so to heat up on top of the wood or the fire. And it does actually leave it's a nice taste. Nice, that stone baked sort of taste is, it's delicious. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I need to walk back now down the mountain and hope that nobody stole my bike. I only cycled so far up here and started getting cramps in my quads because I've trained legs twice this week. I couldn't actually cycle, it was unbearable. So I left my bike and I hope when I walk down it's still there so I can get my bike and cycle back down the hill again because my legs are knackered. And I'd like to do that before it gets dark. So, and as promised, here is the beautiful waterfall that you can enjoy for having to listen to me speak for all this time.
Bye.